Today we're being joined by Charlie Vandenberg from the South Fremantle WAFLW Football Club. Charlie, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me, and I'm very impressed that you could pronounce my last name right as well, so that's a bonus.
Thank you very much. You know what, Charlie, it's funny because so many names get butchered so many times, and you just mentioned then. So how many times do people stuff it up?
Oh, quite often. And look, sometimes with the commentating, that I don't know if they misread our numbers or just aren't quite sure which player we are. We get all sorts of different names. So I've definitely been called more than Charlie and more than Vandenberg, but it's pretty close.
So tell us a bit about yourself. What got you into footy and what type of player you are?
I'm 21 at the moment. I started playing footy at a club level maybe when I was 17, 18. So not too many years ago, but also in the scheme of football, I've been playing for a few years compared to some girls. And I've originally been a hockey player my whole life. So until, the age of 16, 17, I started playing a bit of school footy back in Tassie, then ended up in our statewide Tassie Devils program, just as a bit of development player, learning the game. That was sort of at the end of 2019. Then 2020 happened, sort of started a little bit more footy. Then obviously COVID hit in that situation. So that's sort of when I started playing club in 2020. So now we're 2024, and this is my first year over in WA and in the WAFL. So yeah.
Very nice. So you mentioned their hockey, Charlie. So what kind of prompted that move from hockey to footy?
Honestly, nothing. I didn't grow up in a football family. I obviously had a hockey family, just playing like a few gala days at school with a few different PE teachers and sports coaches that have been around. I've got a bit of height to me, not as tall back then as I am now, but I'm 182 centimetres. So the height isn't as useful in hockey as it definitely is in footy. So they sort of identified that and thought, we might be able to do something with that. So that's sort of where it developed and where it started, yeah.
So what prompted the jump from Tassie to WA?
Look, definitely for football a little bit. Obviously, our opportunities in Tassie are a little bit limited at the moment in terms of we don't have a statewide competition as such in the women's. So wanting to take that next step in my game, definitely. And then also just a bit of a lifestyle change, moving to WA. Definitely a nice place. Enjoy the beaches and the scenery. So it was a bit of a mix of both. It was sort of good. Do I take the chance or do I stay home and play a little bit more local league? But I've definitely enjoyed I've only been over here 5 or so months. Definitely enjoyed my time over here. So that's quite good.
That's good. It's funny, Charlie. I'm glad you mentioned the beach because every WA person I've had on, I know not originally from there, but you're playing in there now. Every WA person, they always mention the beach in somewhat way, shape or form. It always happens.
Yeah, that's it. I think that definitely in Tassie we've got some beautiful beaches as well, and I've grown up living a beach lifestyle. So if I was ever too far from the beach, I'd probably go mad. So I like having the access to it, which is obviously nice and it's beautiful over here.
That's good. So then when you were making that jump over from Tassie to WA, what kind of led to the South Freo opportunity?
I didn't know a lot about the WAFL. Don't know anyone over here that was playing. I know one person playing in the WAFL at the moment. And I actually I've got someone back home that does a bit of work through the Freo Dockers, a bit of recruiting, and spoke to him and said, look, what do you know about the women's competition over there? And he sort of pointed me in the direction at someone at the WAFL that I spoke to, and he gave me sort of a rundown of the competition and said, this is what each sort of club structure looks like, what they're good at, what they've sort of developed over the last few years, and then sent me a few phone numbers. And the first phone number that I had was for Craig at South Freo. So I sent him a message, and that sparked a conversation there. That was sort of December, late November, maybe December. Then just sort of kept snowballing over the new year, and then thought, if I ever do end up in WA, I'll definitely reach out to you. So that's sort of how that all started. Yeah.
Very nice. So then obviously the side is in contention with finals with 2 rounds to go. Charlie, how are you feeling heading into the last few weeks when you got the districts just in front and then you're just underneath with I think it's Subiaco on the top of your head as well?
Yeah. Look, we're definitely in the last few games let a few slip that could have given us 2 or 3 wins, and especially it being such a short season. I know that in the men's competition you don't win premierships in the first week or so, but in our women's competition it's definitely detrimental to the outcome So at the moment, we can technically still make the 4 if things go right, I guess. It's not completely in our control. We do have to up our percentage a fair bit this week. So fingers crossed it all works out for us. I think last week, finally getting on the positive end of a close win was fantastic and has definitely boosted some morale in our group. So hopefully the next 2 weeks are the best for us.
Absolutely, that's right. And obviously going into this week's game, you have where was it? That's right, Pure Thunder. So obviously you need that percentage. Obviously they're a side that's struggled for various reasons through beating a younger team, have a bunch of injuries. So as you said, you need that percentage, and without trying to sound disrespectful to them, you need to probably get that percentage you said to and then of course have results go your way. But you never say never, these competitions these days.
Yeah, correct. I think especially being new to the competition, I had absolutely no level of understanding of what it may be. So I didn't come in with the background knowledge of a lot of our other girls that go, these are sort of the strong teams or the weaker teams. And I think that especially over the last 2 months, our comps just proved to be way more even with a lot more, I suppose, upsets of who the top teams were meant to be. And it's a lot more even play with some really impressive wins from some sides too.
That's right. So how do you approach going into this week against Peel?
Well, currently at the moment, I'm a little bit injured. So at the end of second quarter last week, I have a very fat ankle at the moment, a heavily sprained ankle. So I'm still a maybe at the moment. Hopefully over the next couple of days, a bit more swelling goes down and that allows me to prepare a bit better. But I know for our team side of things, a lot of, as I said, beliefs come out of last week that we know how much we want this and what we need to do to get there. So hopefully this week we can nail together, I guess, and do that all as one.
Now, obviously, this year you've been mainly playing as a ruckman. How's that role been for you? And have you always played that position with your height?
Yeah, definitely with my height. Back home, I played pretty much always in the ruck. In, I guess, not needing me to also go forward, I was very fortunate to play at a pretty dominant club. My club was called Wynyard, and we had a lot of other good forwards, so it didn't mean that I needed to rest forward, I guess, while someone else went into the ruck. So I've spent majority of my time in the middle of the ground. And then moving over here, we thought, maybe I could venture up forward, but we're in a team there's 4 or 5 girls that are above 180 centimetres. So that's quite a tall team. So we do have a lot more, I guess, specific key forwards that play that role and are very good in their roles. So that's just allowed me to, I guess, spend a bit more time in the middle rather than rolling forward and then having that rotation. I have pushed forward a little bit, but not a lot in the last month or so, and then just rolling off to the bench for my rest rather than slotting forward.
What's it been like for you playing alongside these last few months or this season with girls that have been talked about in this year's draft, like Molly O'Howell's who'll be gone from a waffle level at the end of this year? Yeah, she'll get a few others in that conversation as well. What's it been like playing alongside players like Molly and anyone else on the team?
Oh, look, it's fantastic. I love, I guess, the enthusiasm they can bring to a side, especially being so young. I go, oh, wow, I wish I could do that, although they're only a little bit younger than myself. Look, it is great. And so playing back in Tassie, I've played with a few girls that are sort of like the Mollys and the Noahs, or those sort of girls. Playing through our Tassie Devils, played with girls that then got drafted at 18. So playing with that extra bit of spark's definitely fun. And they're a very enjoyable bunch to be with. So I know that they'll definitely go far with their footy. So that's fantastic for them.
They definitely will. Who you just mentioned there, Charlie, some of the names that you've played with alongside maybe in Tassie that have been drafted. Who are some of those? And how's it been to see their journeys progress?
Oh, I've played with a few different girls that have been drafted. Ella Moore, she went from Tassie at 18 to North Melbourne, is now the Gold Coast Suns under Cam Joyce, who was our coach for a little bit in the Tassie Devils. So they've got a great bond there. And we've also had 3 girls that went to GWS as well. Meg Gaffney, who ended up injured last year, unfortunately. Maddie Brasendale and Claire Ransom, who Claire went as number 2 in our draft year, but they're a great bunch and they're fantastic to watch. I love going, it's obviously doable. Like, they're people that I've played with, have relationships with, and now get to watch them playing at the highest level. So it's good.
That's right. I mean, how daunting too was it making that trip over to WA, knowing that you, as you said, you only really knew one person, and then you head to South Fremantle. How was the first few days or weeks for you heading into a new club and a new state?
Yeah, well, it was definitely a whirlwind. I moved over here with my partner, so luckily I wasn't completely on my own. But we drove across, so we spent 5 days driving across, which was sort of the quick way to do it. Ended up in Perth on a Friday, and had sent Craig a message because I knew that South were playing a practice match on the Sunday, and said, "Oh, what are the game details? I'd love to meet you and I'll come along and watch." Then it ended up being that I met Craig on the Saturday. He took us for a drive about Perth, which was very kind of him. And then they were like, "Oh, well, we're actually a few players short, to be honest, for our practice match." So within only being in Perth for 48 hours, I played in their practice match, and that was the first time meeting any of the girls or kicking a footy in a little bit. But it was definitely a good way to jump straight into it, and then trained the next week, another practice match, and then the season started 2 weeks later. So definitely fell straight into it, and for the better too.
Gee, I wish everyone would wish they'd have a perfect scenario like that, Charlie. You get straight to a club, and the first thing you do is a game. Forget about the training. You don't even need to do any of that. Just jump right into a game. That's good. Yeah,
it was a dream. I was very lucky.
That's good. Who are some of the players now in that time that you've been there for the last 2 or 3 months, and you've got to get along with pretty well?
Oh, they're definitely a fantastic bunch. I know that the stereotype is that girls may not always click, but the group there are fantastic. And I think we've got a fair bit of youth that have come through with a lot of our Rogers girls playing up. And I think that I've heard from last year's squad to this year, it's quite different as well. So along with the experienced girls and a lot of new girls coming in, it was a little bit unknown for us all at the start, but we've definitely started to gel and create those bonds that then really help us out on the field towards the back end of the season.
That's good. In this year's competition, who would you say would have been, either if it's a player or a team, would be, say, your toughest opponent you've had to match up on?
Oh, I think that East Freo, we played them round 1, so we've got them the final round as well. And it being the women's competition, we only play each other twice, and obviously round 1 to round 16 are quite different. And that being my first proper game at the level, they obviously set a high standard. So their ruckman, I do forget her name, but she has quite a bit of height on her and moves around the ground quite well. So she's probably definitely been one of my hardest matchups. So hopefully if I can get out in 2 weeks, I can give it my all against her again if she's out there too. And I think that their side, East Freo, obviously a little bit of rivalry between us and them. So that was a hard one, round 1. So hopefully it's a good but tough battle again in round 16 to finish off the year.
That's right, for sure. What is leadership something, Charlie, that's ever been a part of your career in hockey or even in footy? Is that something that you've kind of wanted to lean into, something that you haven't or that you might want to in the future?
Definitely. In that club, both hockey and footy, I've spent a lot of time, whether it be as captain or just in supporting leadership groups, which I'm very fortunate for. Through our Devils program as well, was in our leadership group there for my final year, and that sort of stemmed then the next year. So for the 2023 Coates League season, I was actually a coach with our Tassie Devil side. So I was the midfield coach, so one of the line coaches, coached my region. Yeah, so I from the northwest of Tassie, so I coached the northwest group throughout the week, and then in their season, then we'd obviously travel and coach on a game day as well. So that definitely helped, I don't know, I guess bring a bit of confidence in what I was preaching, and then understanding and bringing that into my own game, and then just continue to share that when I play or whether if I'm on the sidelines as well.
That's good. In your whole sporting journey, Charlie, has there been any accomplishments that you had in that time, whether through individual accolades, team success, award, premierships, etc.?
I think that I've been pretty fortunate. I said to my partner a week or so ago, goodness, if we don't make finals this year, I think this is the first year I've never played in a grand final. So my last 4 years of club footy, I've played 4 grand finals and won 2 senior flags. So that was very impressive. I'm very lucky to have been able to do that in our competition. I guess through hockey that I've represented Tassie a fair bit through hockey and other just different, I guess, club awards in the sense of passion and spirit, because I do love a community sport and being all involved in that sort of side of things, as well as being out on the field. So I reckon they're probably my biggest couple. I think that in 2020 sort of the draft was different obviously both for the boys and girls, and being invited in 2020, I was invited to do the draft combined. It was obviously looked a little bit different because we couldn't travel, but I think the only Tasmanian girl that did that year. So that was just done back home though with the boys.
I mean, I wouldn't gloss over. That's some pretty handy accolades. So grand finals, Charlie, at least for football, are just attached to your name every time you go around. As you said, been 4 years in a row.
Yeah, they do. I just sort of end up falling in them, and I don't know how. Sometimes we go, oh, not this year. No, we're still there.
I'll tell you right now, it could be a thing. If you scrape into the finals this year, who knows? It might happen. And with Claremont, lost a few in a row, and they were probably at first. The team that started the season so well and close to being I wouldn't say the definite clear cut, but probably the option to win it. And then they've struggled the last few weeks and scraped over the line as a bottom team this week. So, as you said, it being so open, it just shows that anyone could win it at any point in time.
Yeah, definitely. I think that when we played Claremont 3 or so weeks ago, I think we come off a loss and then a bye. So it was a long 2 weeks on wanting to get back out there and show exactly what we could do. But I think Claremont pipped us by 1 point in that game, but it was definitely one of the best performances our team had put on, and Claremont were giving their absolute all as well. So it was a fantastic game of footy.
Right, for sure. And how are you with, well, I'm sure you know, but have you ever been one to watch back any footage of the game? Because obviously it's streamed.
Yeah, I definitely do. I rewatch all the game and my bits of edits, looking to learn on things, and whether it just be myself and I go and always remember from a game, go, oh, I should have done this in that point. And then you rewatch it and go, oh, you had more time, or you could have done this, or you could have done that. Then definitely as a midfield group, we rewatch and regroup and take out whether we sort of stuck to the game plan that we were aiming for, or if we lapsed a little bit in concentration, and then look to then build that throughout the week and go stronger again on the weekend from it, I guess.
Sure. I mean, when you think about that, do you feel like having the footage to watch back is a good thing compared to not having it, outside from like watching your own highlights back, especially if they're good ones, but also like to learn the bad mistakes, as you said, like if there's something that you feel like you did wrong, like in your mind, like in that moment in the game, you might think whatever, you just think, no, it doesn't matter. But then not know, because you didn't get to watch it back, and be more like conservative, go, no, I played fine. Then you watch it back and go, actually, yeah, no, that's not that good. And then you can kind of learn from that. Where if you didn't have it, you wouldn't really know, especially if you think you did well.
Yeah, spot on. I think that I find a lot with my hit out stat that I could have a really dominant game and have 25 plus hit outs, but I go back and watch and go, oh, some of them were lucky to go my way, or yes, I was really dominant, but I wasn't dominant with the way I used the ball. So I think that that's definitely on the good side of being able to use it. Really lucky that we have, I guess, that access to one stats and then rewatching the game to look and go, oh, I probably could have done this, and just sort of focus in on that bit of craft work when I can. Yeah,
very true. What do you see yourself accomplishing in the next 2 to 5 years?
Oh, that's a big question. That's actually probably one I need to ask myself a little bit more often. Obviously moved over here wanting to take that next step in footy. I don't really know if it means staying here for a little bit longer. Like, I don't have any long-term plans. Staying, playing in this comp for a little bit longer, and obviously developing my own craft and personally on the field, giving it a real good crack. But I definitely do love the game. And obviously, as I said, I had a bit of dip my toes into a little bit of coaching. So I love that side of it as well. So I currently coach a junior team, but it's not quite the same, I guess, structure and program as what our Devils program was that I was involved in, which was, a huge positive. But one day, I think down the track, when my body probably says no, I might end up in role again, because that's something I enjoy and I'm definitely passionate about sharing.
That's good. Well, then hopefully that coaching sort of thing, from like a permanent side of things, it's not in that next 2 to 5 year range. Not in the permanent.
Probably a little bit further outside.
Yeah, as you said, you're only 21, so that's still at least 10 years or so, all going to plan. So if you were to use an AFL or AFLW play comparison to the type of style of play you play, like in the ruck, who would it be?
I actually don't know, to be honest. One of my favourite players to watch is Gold Coast's ruck, Lauren Bella. I think that's her name. Sometimes I'm not very good at remembering names. I probably definitely wouldn't compare myself to her because she's very elegant in the way that she rucks. I'm not really sure who I would compare myself to. I'm definitely, I suppose being a big body out on the field, you look quite slow to move. So I'm definitely feel like a freight train at times out there trying to move around. But then I suppose your GPS shows whether you are or aren't. But yeah, I don't actually know on that one. I've been asked it before, but never have a clear answer.
So, well, you gave something, so that's a start. We're progression. Yeah. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh, is this to help in football or not to help in football?
Yeah, whatever you like. It can mean something for football. It can be just in general.
Oh, I wish I could fly. I wish I could fly wherever I wanted. That would be handy in a game of footy.
That too.
You can go anywhere you want.
Yeah, that too. It's free. The only thing you'd have to watch while flying is make sure you don't crash into anything in the air, like a plane.
Yeah, that's it. And just hope that a storm doesn't come down while you're up there.
Oh, yes, that too. Yeah. Check the weather forecast every time to do all that stuff. All right. So, what is the best goal, Charlie, at any level that you've kicked at any point in time? It doesn't even have to be in a game. It could even be just mucking around with a mate or training and stuff. Is there any good goals you've ever kicked?
As I said, I don't spend a lot of time in the forward line in a game, but might have been last season or the season before back in Tassie in the forward line, just sort of crept my way up in there and took a ruck and got the ball out of the ruck and went, oh, that's mine, and kicked the goal straight out of the ruck contest. So that's definitely a bit of a highlight, and it's awesome to watch when that ever happens on TV, which is obviously a little bit rare, but probably a highlight goal for me.
That's fair enough. If you were to best describe, Charlie, the best goal you'd love to ever get, this can be as unrealistic as you like here, add in the distance, the angle, the moment, the occasion, Charlie, where are you kicking the goal from?
Oh, wow. I think that everyone would like to say they'd kick a winning goal in an important game. Obviously, that comes with a lot of pressure, but I think that in an ideal world, that would be awesome, kicking a set shot of some kind, maybe just 45 out on the right, so on the preferred 45 out in a grand final or something to win the game on the buzzer or just before the buzzer goes. Although that would be a very stressful time, I think that would come with some great feeling as well.
Absolutely would be. Are you a goal celebrator? I know you don't give any goals, but is there always a go-to goal celebration you've got in mind if you ever do get one recent coming up or any in the past that you've done?
To be honest, no, because they're so rare, it's just a little bit of shock. I go, oh, right, I've kicked that, and then I've got to go back to the middle, so I just run off before I even high-five people. So I'm a little bit known for missing the celebration and forgetting to high-five my teammates on the way back to the centre.
Fair enough. There's something I've always wondered at, particularly AFL, AFLW level, which I'm sure you see, Charlie, where players, they kick a goal and a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time they go off the ground and like part of their minutes or whatever you want to call it. Do you have that at the level you're at now where how does that all work if you got any of that happens?
Do you mean so like if they kick a goal and sub straight off basically?
Rotation type thing. Like a lot of the time you just see players go off all the time when you kick a goal, and a lot of commentary, particularly at the top level, they always wonder like why you're going so well, or you're on fire and you're getting dragged because of your rotation minutes or whatever. Like how are you with that happen at WAFL level with you guys, girls?
I think that I assume the AFL are quite similar, that you just like ultimately whether you're having a good game or not, at some points you're just still managing the minutes, and if that's your time to get off, it's your time to get off, because yes, you might be on a high, but I guess in the long run, if you're out there for 2 or 3 extra minutes and that lags on, then physically you might not feel the effects. Mentally, you're having the game of your life. You just kicked a ripper goal. But obviously then there's those physical effects, and that's then I guess why all the minutes are managed so tightly, especially in the AFL, that I know that if you've kicked 10 goals by halftime, they're probably going to leave you out there for a little bit longer. But definitely managing those minutes and keeping both physically and mentally switched into the game as much as we can for the whole 80 minutes for us. Yeah.
That's fair. Is there any particular advice you've been given about anything, life in general, about footy over time that's kind of stuck in your mind?
Just basically to give it your all while you can, because I think that even now, only being 21, I still look back last season or the season before and go, oh, I should have done this, I should have tried harder, or whatever it might be. So I think just very much to take the opportunities while you've got them. And I guess that sort of helped push our move over here to take it while you can, and especially while I'm young and don't have a lot of, I guess, responsibilities, to enjoy it, especially both in and outside of footy. Yeah.
Very true. Now, going back to teammates, who loves the limelight, the attention, the camera at South Fremantle, and they can't get enough of it, and they know what to do when the camera's around. There's always someone, Charlie, who fits this mantle.
Oh, look, well, our best girl celebration, whose photos look awesome, is Poppy Stockwell, who kicks some absolutely unbelievable goals, but she hates the camera. Whenever she has the microphone, it's dead as a mouse. You can have it back. So you wouldn't quite pick that. But definitely Hunter in our back line. She is a comedian and is very good. Helps bring that team spirit and definitely lift us when we're down. So I think that if she knew that there was a camera out, she could put on a good show, and it's definitely good to watch.
That's good. So you feel like then Hunter would be someone that, like, if there was a post about her or if there was a media crew or whoever going up to her, she'd just like eat it up and be like, and this is good.
Oh, look, I guess in a good way. She might take the mickey out of herself a little bit until, I guess, when it reaches that point where you're like, oh, probably too much, oh, not enough. But, yeah, I think that she'd take it in a positive way, definitely.
That's fair enough. Who's some teammates that kind of fly under the radar, Charlie, a little bit, that you feel don't get talked about as much as you feel that they should?
Well, that's a tough one. With Alira Fotu, who's only played maybe 3 games with us, she's I think she's in a national basketball or maybe WA basketball program as well. She's athletic as anything. I think that if she had played a little bit more, a few more games, she would have drawn a few more eyes to her. She's probably just under 180 centimetres and athletic as anything. She's been playing on half forward and can take a really athletic and strong mark. And she's also only young. I think she's 17, maybe 18. So if she chooses to venture down the football path, I think that she will be a name that we hear a little bit more in the future, definitely.
Very good. What do you feel is the best individual game, Charlie, that you've played in at any point in time?
Our game this year against Claremont was our last game we played against Claremont, so only 3 or so weeks ago, where we lost by 1 point. That was one of my better games with a dominant hit-out stats, but also I felt like I was using the footy quite well, and a handful of good disposals and a fair lot of tackle pressure as well. Yeah, so that felt good. That's
right. The stats don't lie, they say, Charlie, and I've just got it up in front of me to double check this. So 40 hit-outs, 7 tackles, 11 disposals. See, that's a pretty decent day at the office.
Yeah, especially for being a ruck. Like, it's so hard sometimes to, like, comparing stats. Sometimes it's got its positives and its negatives, obviously. But just being a ruckman, like, I guess finding a way to stay involved outside of just the craft work, that, yes, I might have 40 disposals, but 40 hit-outs, but I've only got 3 disposals, and there's another ruckman who's getting that 10 or so plus, because for a ruck, that's sort of, in our competition anyway, sort of about 12. Like, that's a pretty good disposal rate for a game. So just trying to creep that number up as much as I can so that I stay involved around the ground.
Yeah, no, that's very true for sure. Okay, so defenders, I feel like they deserve a bit more love, Charlie, than what they really get. Obviously, the forward got the Coleman medal, the mids got the Brownlow, and even rucks get recognised in Brownlow at any level of competition these days, Charlie. But do you feel that defenders deserve, in particular at AFL, AFLW level, their own official title of an award as well?
Look, I think that since there is obviously the goal kicker, and often the best and fairest is a lot of the time a midfielder, because they have a lot of the footy, I do think that, yes, that's probably fair and warranted, because they do cop a bit of slack down there during the year, I guess, because the ball we don't have goals kicked against us because our defence are bad. It obviously either starts from the middle or it comes from the forward. And I always say it's a game of 1v1, so they've got an opponent, so do we in the middle, so does everyone in the forward line. So they do obviously have to deal with a fair bit and a lot of pressure down there. So they probably do deserve their own award.
Yeah, they definitely do. Any AFL or AFLW player interactions you've ever had as a fan? If so, were there any memorable or forgettable moments?
Say again, sorry?
So have you ever had any AFL, AFLW player interactions as a fan? If so, were there any memorable or forgettable ones?
I went and watched the women's grand final last year, which that was fantastic to watch. Obviously North Melbourne versus Brisbane. And Nicole Bresnahan, who plays for North Melbourne. She is obviously a Tassie girl and works for AFL Tas. So I've had a little bit of a relationship with her, and I do definitely. She's one of my idols. The way that she goes about the game, and look to her for a bit of advice, I guess, in terms of footy. So it's fantastic having a bit of an off-field relationship, and then going to watch her play then at the highest level in something like a grand final. That's very special and very impressive.
Definitely is. And I was at that same game you were just talking about, and it looked like North were going to win that at one point, weren't they? They were up at 3/4 time, 7 points, and I mean they were never like way ahead. But the way it was going, it just felt like they were going to not scrape through, but get a win by a goal or two, and then bang, bang, bang in that last quarter, and that was all she wrote.
Definitely, that's exactly how I ended up. Like 3/4 time, I was like, "Oh, don't get too excited," because obviously, I was a North fan in the stands that day. But Brisbane definitely come away very strong. It was a great bit of a comeback, because as you said, it seemed like North Melbourne were on top of it for a little bit. But yeah, well done to them, I guess.
So you just mentioned about supporting North for that day. Were you a North fan in general, or just for that day?
Definitely in the AFLW, because they've got our alliance with Tassie, and I've seen a few girls go through that program. I've actually, to be honest, in the girls program, in the girls competition, I sort of follow anyone and everyone, especially now knowing a few players at different teams or having interactions with different clubs. But in the men's, I definitely follow the Geelong Cats, so not quite a North Melbourne fan.
Charlie knows that along with me is not a good combination, especially at the men's level. The women's, it's fine, but the men's, I know. How do you feel that they've gone some of this year? It's funny. I'll keep it normal. They won those games in a row, albeit some lucky, and then you lost 4 in a row. And then you won just over Richmond. How you felt with the season so far?
Oh, look, there's along with many other fans, I was definitely putting my head in the pillow at times. I was like, how does this happen? And a lot of the time, just with a bit of time difference, the sort of Friday night game that we had, or Thursday night it might have been, I missed the game because we were at training. So I haven't actually got to watch a lot of it, unless it's sort of like a late Saturday night game. But whenever I check the scores, I'm like, Geelong, what are we doing this week, honestly? Hopefully we can sort our stuff out before the end of the season.
Maybe able to. What are some fun facts, Charlie, about you that people may not know about you?
Oh, actually don't know. Don't know any fun facts, to be honest. Someone else would have to pick something interesting about me.
Any hidden talents, secret talents?
Not really, to be honest. No. Unless like riding a bike with no hands. Like that's not very impressive, but that's probably all I can do, I reckon.
No, that's nothing wrong with that.
I know that some people couldn't do that, but that's probably my biggest talent. Not very impressive.
Me too, I can't do that. How are you with heights? Are you a heights person, or are you scared of heights?
Oh, no, I don't mind heights. I've been up a few tall buildings and looked down over things, so I suppose it's okay. I always, I guess, in those situations just go, it's not going to kill you, you'll be fine. Don't be scared of it. So that's how we get through them.
That's fair enough. Name 3 famous people you'd go out to dinner with, dead or alive.
Or Taylor Swift.
Okay, yes.
Ash Barty. And I don't even know for the third one.
Fair enough.
No, but they're definitely 2.
That's fair. You mentioned Taylor Swift there, and I'm glad you brought her up, because I've been waiting for the last few episodes for someone to bring up Taylor Swift. So I'm glad you brought her up. Just for context, I'm not a hater. I'm not a fanatic. I'm not a Swiftie, as you call it.
Neither am I.
You're in the middle as well.
Yeah, I'm not a diehard fan. To be honest, there's nothing that I really absolute diehard fan over things and could tell you everything about. I do like Taylor's music, and when I was a bit younger, went to a concert and have had a love for her music when I was younger, but I'm not a diehard fan that would, I don't know every single word to all of her songs and all her facts, but I do just like her music. That's
fair, because there's one song in particular that I'm going to bring up. It's because, for context, Charlie, I'm going to use the name John for this example. So one time, this is a true story though, one time I was just talking to this guy named John, and he was just being annoying, and I just told him to shake it off. And now clearly you know what that reference is, right? So yeah. I only used the word because it was a Taylor Swift thing, and I just said those words, and he went off his chop. He's like, I don't like that stupid, Oh. Anyway, and he just kept annoying me that in that moment. So then I thought, okay, now I know what to piss him off with, right? And like John, all you got to do is hate. Obviously, another reference, and he hated it, didn't he? So
you've got a bit of ammo there.
Absolutely, I do. And when we're on these type of calls on this platform, obviously I got the power to change the banner, the picture, play music, and of course, what's having the archives here to click if he annoys me even more. That song itself.
Perfect. I love that.
Absolutely, he can cop it all right. And if you ever know anyone that doesn't like her, well, then I mean, you could use something like that as well at some point. Just use those references.
She's taking over the world in that sense, I think.
Seems to be. I mean, if that didn't happen 3 months ago, however long ago she was in Vic in Australia in general, then that might not have happened. But good, I love it. Okay, what is your favorite app on your phone?
Ooh. Let me open it up so I can jog my memory and see. I do like Pinterest. That's a bit of fun.
Interesting one there. Okay.
Pinterest. Look through things. I guess it gives the same vibes as TikTok, just not video version. As much as everyone's addicted to TikTok, and I spend way too much time scrolling on there as well. But try be good and say Pinterest. I reckon I do enjoy it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've never got around to TikTok. I'm not that much older than you, but I still can't get around to that. I really can't.
Keep it that way, or you just get addicted.
Yeah, and I keep hearing about all these people going, "Oh, I'm gonna do a TikTok." I'm like, shut up. Just shut up. It's unbelievable. At any age group, really, I'm hearing people my age are doing the same thing, or little ones are way more obsessed. But I've seen people older than me or my age be obsessed with that stuff. But anyway, whatever.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's believable. All right, so mark or goal of the year, which one would you rather do, Charlie, and why?
Oh, I reckon I wish I'd go goal of the year. I reckon
it's a good one.
Or maybe both. Take a ripper mark and then kick an awesome goal or something.
We're now the second person out of over 100 people to finally say that. I can't believe I haven't heard that more common with that answer.
Yeah. It would be ideal. Normally, if you take the ripper mark, I guess that it takes the thrill of it being a goal in play. But if you're kicking a fantastic goal from a long range or on the boundary, then I reckon you could get goal and mark of the year.
You could. Well, one I just randomly thought of then, Charlie, is you mark it about 60 out on the boundary, take the hanger. The girl in your case, they dropped on their ass, you got straight back up and you ran straight away from it and you're on the
that would be impressive.
The Buddy-esque one with Cale Hooker. So imagine yourself doing that, but on the right side, of course. Being right foot.
Yeah, it would be very impressive.
It would be for sure, and it'd be pretty cool to do. Most prized possessions that you own?
Ooh. As bad as it is, I feel like a lot of people would say their phone, but I love my surfboard. I do have a bit of a love for that. Not that it's being used a lot at the moment, surprisingly, although we're in the surfing state, but probably a phone and a surfboard.
I'm glad you said that, Charlie, because anyone that doesn't say a phone, I think they're lying straight to, especially around the age you're at. Anyone that doesn't say that, I think they're full of shit, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it might be your number one thing, maybe, but to say it's not a priority, I'm not buying that. I mean, how are you going to communicate, really?
Yeah, that's it.
You need it to some degree. All right, so now I'm going to ask you some teammates questions. This is where the part where teammates' hearts may get broken and teammates may like you more for it. So the first one is best chatterbox at the club.
Oh, maybe Caitlin Pears. She plays in the back line for us. She's very funny, and I think if you let her talk, she could talk for a while.
That's good. And just for context, too, and I tell everyone this, I mean, to be a chatterbox or be the loudest, which is the next question, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing at all.
No, not at all. I like her. She definitely brings a little bit of humour into the drills and can pick when it's needed at training. So a bit of, I guess, running, commentating and a bit of humour around that stuff, whether it's towards the coaches or ourselves. But she's very good at picking that stuff.
Well, good. That's exactly what I want. Someone that loves chirping and give a little bit of commentary. I mean, I do that stuff myself. So That'd be great there. She's good. All right. So loudest and quietest teammates.
Say again, sorry.
Loudest and quietest teammates.
Quiet, probably Poppy. She's quite quiet. And loudest, probably Hunter or Pearsy, one of the two.
Fair enough. And if you were stuck on a deserted island, Charlie, with teammates, who are you bringing and not bringing, and why?
Oh, probably wouldn't take Noah because I don't think we'd get anything done. He's just a bit too much fun for me. I feel like we'd both just end up in shambles and not know what to do. But I'd be taking, maybe someone. We've got Tilly on our team who is a mum, so she's got a little bit more life experience, and she might be able to help me through.
Yeah, there's some good choices there then for sure. You need to be smart on these things, don't you? You need to be people that are smart. I mean, you can pick your friends all you like, but if they're not the smartest or they're not the brainiest or they're not, the quick thinkers or anything like that, I mean, you might be, as you said, stuck there forever. Yeah,
that's it, and I definitely don't want that.
No, you definitely do not want that. Now, let's go to the hot topic food question, Charlie. Now, for context here, I've asked well over 100 people, as I said, for this question. Only 12 people have got all 6 questions correct to how I would answer them. Only 8 people. It said the illogical wrong answer because it's only one answer for this first one. And overall, 8 people have stuffed up the first one. So let's see. Again, the lowest 2 that anyone's ever gotten is a bunch of people on 3 out of 6. So how do you feel you'll go?
Hopefully better than 3. Let's just see.
Yes, let's see. Chicken palmy. Is it a palmy or is it something else?
Oh, it's a palmy.
Thank Christ. Oh, no, right. I mean, is that even a word at this point?
No.
My arguments to those 8 people. And by the way, I converted 2 of those 8 people to change their answer just by this about to mention, which I'm sure you would say as well. I mean, I just tell people 2 things. 1, pronounce it. It's Parmigiana, right? And spell it out. And when you get to the M, hi, hello, so it's not an A.
I agree.
Or any other stupid variations some people want to come up with. Now, the next one, pineapple on a pizza, yes or no?
Oh, I don't eat pineapple, so no.
Good. The last few weeks, I haven't had many people say no, so good job. So that's 2 out of 2 so far. They're going well. All right, tomato sauce, cabinet or fridge?
Pantry.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Good. That's my answer too. So 3 for 3. Relax. Favorite food?
Oh, chocolate. I'm a big sweet tooth. I love chocolate.
That's good. 4 for 4. Food you don't like?
I'm not a big lover of spice. I'm not a chili person.
Damn it. Okay. You might save yourself. Is it because you can't handle it or you just don't like it?
No, I can't handle it.
So if you could handle it?
Yeah, I'd eat it. Yeah. So I eat like it to as spicy as I can get. And then I'm like, a bit hot.
So, okay. It's more the hotness part than the actual thing itself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to count that because I want to add someone else to the 13, make it 13. Okay. If you get this right. And this one should be the easiest one probably. Favorite takeaway place?
Oh. Like for a meal or dessert or anything?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say Macca's just because it's so accessible everywhere.
Oh, yeah. That's a definite yes. That's a big yes. Okay. Yeah, well, good. You're the 13th to get all questions correct. See, you're smart. Some other people, perfect. No good. Especially those 8 clowns that said, I'm joking, said not palmy. Okay, that's good. So, all right, let's move on to the next stuff. So, game day superstitions, Charlie. Do you have any game day superstitions that you must follow?
I wouldn't say like a specific one. Like I'm not one that, I don't know, ties my shoes in the same order, but I definitely have a bit of a routine that I follow in terms of whether it be what I'm eating or what I do before the day, and then a bit of game prep as well. But nothing like a crazy superstition, but definitely a bit of routine.
That's good. Because I always ask people that have so many, Charlie's like, what would happen then if you can't do X, Y, Z, like if, for example, some people say they have a coffee from a certain shop or they just get one all the time. Like, well, hang on, why is it the machine's not working or the store's closed? Like, what the hell are you going to do?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to that little bit of accountability and wanting to blame something. So if everything goes the way it's meant to be, then I suppose if you perform really badly or really well, you can be like, oh, it was because of this or it wasn't because of that.
Absolutely, that's right. Favorite music, or you kind of mentioned one name before, but what would you say is your favorite music?
I do like Taylor Swift, but I have a pretty mainstream, I guess, mix of music, and I think whatever's trending on whether it be TikTok or that then floods over to Spotify, that's normally what I click play to in the car, so not too fussy with it.
That's fair enough. Jumper number 18, obviously at the South Fremantle side. How did that jumper number come about, and did you get to pick it? How was that process?
There was a few different numbers just in terms of the sizing of the actual jumper itself. Obviously, I was a very late inclusion to the squad and sort of who'd been training there. So I think that I don't know who had that jumper previously, but luckily it was one that fitted. And I'm definitely an even numbers person. I'm normally number 32, but I think that somebody else has that number and it wasn't quite my size. But 18, I'm pretty happy with.
Oh, that's good. That's a good thing. Some people have I don't understand sometimes. Well, you just mentioned like even numbers. So okay, so I can ask you this to a degree. What do you feel like is the fascination, Charlie, between certain numbers? Like a lot of people you hear about, they want the lower jumper numbers, number 1 to 9 in particular, single-digit numbers, because normally the best players get those numbers or lower, or they have a particular connection to that number. For you, what do you like even numbers?
I think I just like a lot of things being even. If you gave me 5 of something, I'd happily give you 1 back, and I'd say I'll keep 4. So I think that's where the even numbers come from, I guess. Yeah.
It's fair enough. Like you get number 5, you're like, yep, try it again, throw it back, go nope.
Yeah, I think that if I had an odd number, it would be 11. Just one.
Okay.
11. Yeah.
Very interesting. Now I've got a few more questions for you, Charlie. So I do really appreciate you coming on. Outside of footy interests that you have.
Definitely, as I said, growing up at the beach, so love for the water and anything, whether it be surfing, swimming, snorkeling. So that's definitely a big passion and where a lot of my hobbies come from. Yeah.
That's good. Any favorite TV shows or movies that you have?
I've just finished watching Heartbreak High, which is a sort of shortish season on Netflix, and to be honest, not a very big TV movie watcher, but did enjoy that one thoroughly.
Very nice. Now, if you were in charge of the WAFLW competition, and you were the CEO for a day, Charlie, what rules are you adding and or removing? One, I want to mention one, you might mention this, but I hate, and they still do it, is where the time doesn't stop. So that gives you the option to kill time on purpose, and I hate seeing that. There's been a few teams in that boat that I've just watched myself, and I've seen that happen. It's just like, really, like, it's in the rules, so technically you can do it, but it shouldn't be there to be exploited. I hate that. Yeah,
especially when it's got, I guess, the wrong meaning behind whatever the team might be doing it. The density rule, I like the idea of it. It's not, I can't say it's played or umpired correctly at all times, so it's quite frustrating because at the moment, I guess in our team, we feel like we play the anti-density rule properly, and a lot of the time the opposition isn't, and we don't get rewarded for it. We actually just end up on the back foot because their players have gone up the ground or whatever it might be. So I suppose it's not as such a dumb rule. The clarification and the way it's being, I guess, implemented might need to be assessed a little bit differently. And I don't love the last touch rule because I don't think that's often very clear as well, that if you made attempt or not good enough attempt, or if you actually could have got rid of the ball, like sometimes I just cannot see black and white between it. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be a ball up or if it's a kick or why it's one or the other. So a little bit more clarity around those maybe.
Exactly. I mean, I know what it is and how it works and this type of stuff, but like you said, it's like you're confused sometimes because what they say might be the rule. They don't really follow it every time. It's just, I don't know why they do that in SA. I don't know if you knew they do it in the sample W as well. I don't in the sample. I hate that. That's another one. And don't get me started on umpires. I could go literally. I do it on my weekly AFL podcast when there's bad umpiring decisions every week. Boring, God. You literally get me on a rant quite easily bringing up umpires, so I'm going to try and contain myself very easily. It doesn't take much. Okay, so last one I got for you, Charlie, so I appreciate you coming on. Is in an ideal world and map out a dream footy scenario for yourself from right now to the end of this year or at the start of next year, how would you love for your football scenario to pan out?
Oh gosh. Well, I'd love for our team to make the finals, and then it'd be awesome to progress to a grand final and then maybe play in the grand final and win. That would be fantastic. But then, as you said, it's obviously like our season's done sort of in a month or so. So it's still 6 months. And then we get to watch the AFLW play. So would love to have some sort of involvement in that one day. It'd be fantastic to ideally be drafted at some stage, whether or not that's doable at this stage or ever. But obviously that's a lifelong dream. Hopefully maybe one day we can develop that way.
That's right, Charlie. I always say one thing, and I'm sure there'll be other people that say this. I say never in terms of those opportunities. You know, there's a prime example that I like bringing up to everyone, and I've had her on a few times, which is a big reason why I know a little bit more about it. It's like Elise Sheeran, she's from Richmond. She's 31 now. She was drafted, picked up by Richmond 2 years ago, and now she's a 2-time back-to-back All-Australian. And I mean, no, okay, obviously it doesn't work for everyone, but it just shows, though, you know, that could happen at any age. You don't have to be 18. Like, if you miss out 18, 9's like, nope, it's over. That is further from the truth. Players get picked up, and you're not the only one. It's just one on the top of your head. So there's so many players that get picked up at any age at any point in time. Charlie, it's been a pleasure having you on. Good luck for the last few weeks. It goes to the right way for the last few weeks. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.